Hello, bonjour, wache. Thanks for tuning in to Kahkenuh Aweyuk. I'm your host, Terry Tikanagan. As we have learned in a previous episode, the intake department at Tikanagan Child and Family Services is comprised of several levels. In this episode, we'll learn more about the next steps in the intake process. Hailey McFatridge is an intake and investigation worker based in our Dryden office. She provided more information about how that process works and how the different levels in the department work together to provide services to our communities.
My name's Hailey McFatridge, and I'm an intake investigation worker for Tikanagan, and I'm based out of the northern unit for Dryden.
So Hailey, tell us a little bit about your department. What does an intake worker do?
So an intake investigation worker investigates child protection referrals. When an investigation is assigned to us, we do the appropriate follow-up with the referral source. We interview the necessary family members and children, any community members that we may need to talk to. And then we also do a lot of safety planning with families, safety assessments, and that's a good way for us to be able to identify the strengths and the weaknesses within a family, and ultimately helps us figure out how we can all work together to help these families where needed.
So then what happens next? Like when someone makes a referral or reports a child protection concern, how does the intake process work?
So intake screeners will receive the referral, and we have an eligibility spectrum. So they will apply the appropriate code to the referral, and that gets assigned to the worker in that area. Once we receive the investigation, we'll go over it with our supervisor, and we'll kind of just discuss how we want to approach the investigation. And we have a lot of case conferences. Initially, we have a case conference with the band. We have Tikanagan portfolio holders in a lot of our communities. Chief and council, we like to involve, as well as anyone else, like immediate family members or just general supports that the family has identified. And whether we verify the concerns or not, after interviewing everybody again, we really work to put the appropriate and efficient support in place for the family. And that's something also, I guess, family service and childcare would do. We all kind of work together a lot of the time. So, I think, again, it's really just based on identifying the strengths and weaknesses of families and how we can help mediate and provide things that they need support with.
So it sounds like it's a pretty collaborative process then. But what happens after the initial referral and intake process happens? Like, how do we then transition the kids from their home to a new home?
So if a child would be transitioning from their current home to a new home, immediately we would have a case conference with internal staff, whether that be like family service or childcare supervisors, and then we have the band involved again, chief and council. That's a really big part. And we come up with a plan, I guess, on how we are going to transition the child into their new home. We have things called service plans within family service, and that really just works around the safety plan that intake initiates with the referral concerns. So it all kind of works together. And again, when a child does come into care, that's when they're assigned a specific child care worker who's going to be able to work with the child and provide them with the supports and things that they do need while they are in care. And immediately it's working on family reunification and just getting everyone back together again.
So kind of building off of that then, what do we tell the family when their kids are being transitioned into care? Like, what sort of contact do you have with the family? So before, I guess, bringing a child into care, we will sit down with the caregivers and just kind of discuss what's going to happen. And if an immediate family member or community member is not available, that's when a Tikanagan staff, whether that be a casual worker or an intake worker, will be assigned to sit with the child in a safe setting until proper arrangements can be made. Just to backtrack a little bit, What would you say to people who are hesitant about making referrals to Tikanagan?
I would always say that it's better to be safe than sorry. If you even have a thought of like, do I think I should report this? I would report it. It's just always better to be safe than sorry, especially when a child's safety is at concern.
Back to families. When parents are putting their children into Tikanagan's care, what supports are provided to them by Tikanagan?
So supports that are provided to families who put their children into Tikanagan's care would be, again, more of, I think, a family service aspect, but they come up with like a service plan. And I think the childcare workers really identify strengths and weaknesses within the child, and just they put together goals, I would say, on how we can achieve it, and really just provide parents with counseling services or just any assistance when their child does come into care.
Okay, so say I am a person who has a concern about a child and I want to make a referral. If I make that referral, am I then updated or notified about the situation? Like what happens after I've made the referral?
So if you haven't received follow-up from an intake worker, you can call our screeners to notify them. That's when they will get a hold of the appropriate intake worker that's assigned to the investigation, and that's when they'll inform us that you would wish to receive a follow-up call. And again, this doesn't mean that the referral source will know the outcome of the investigation necessarily, just due to the confidentiality with our clients, but we would just likely just tell you that the concerns are being addressed.
So as the person who made the referral, though, would I in the future be asked to relay that information again? Like, for example, appearing in court, talking to police or to a new caseworker? Do I have to go through that again?
Just initially, when we're going to call you to follow up on what you've reported, get any information that we may need. So we would follow up there. And if the investigation is transferred on to family service or childcare, they'll likely follow up with the referral source. But I would say that would be it.
So you mentioned working in collaboration with other teams. Does that mean that other teams do take on cases after they've been through the intake process then?
Yeah, so it all kind of depends on the outcome of the investigation. If, like, after we have a case conference with internal and chief and counsel and stuff like that, if we feel that the family needs ongoing supports, whether that be, like, help with counseling or they need assistance with setting up appointments or just things in life that they may need help with, we'll transfer it to a family service worker who works closely with them and creates service plans. And same with childcare workers, they do kind of the same thing.
As part of the referral process, is someone able to then follow up with any Tikanagan worker, or do they have to come directly to the person they made the concern with?
When you would call Tikanagan, it would go through screeners again, and it would most likely be the intake worker you're going to be speaking to, just because we're the ones doing the initial follow-up with everyone, so it would most likely be given to intake that you would be speaking to.
Okay, so that does ensure some consistency then for the person who's making the referral.
Yeah.
That's good. In general terms, what would you want people to know about the intake team? What do you feel like people don't know about this group of people?
I would like people to know that our goal is never to separate a family. We really identify the strengths and weaknesses within a family, and our service model is everyone working together to raise our children. So we work as a team in Tikanagan, and we work with chief and counsel and band reps. The community is a key part, and ultimately we all work together to ensure the best outcome for the family and the child, because that's what's key.
So you mentioned the service model, Mamo, Bikiwaso, and how does that relate to your work? Like, how do you guys fulfill that service model?
In Ojibwe and Ojakri, Mamo Abiki Awasuin is everyone working together to raise our children. Our service model is a system of protecting and caring for children and supporting families that have been designed and delivered by First Nations peoples in our 30 communities that we serve. And it's just a lot of Tikanagan working together with all of the supports that we have, really to just come up with a plan of how the family can achieve everything and just exceed their best potential.
And getting a bit more personal, why did you want to work for Kahkenuh? What drew you to this organization?
What drew me to Kahkenuh was just being able to work with First Nations people, and I personally just really wanted to like help break the stigma of childcare. And there's a lot of history with residential schools and intergenerational trauma, and I feel like a lot of people have a stigma about childcare and agencies and stuff like that. So I really just wanted to help make a difference, and I wanted to help families realize that we're here to help. We're not here to separate families and be scary and stuff. So
that's a pretty noble reason, I think.
Yeah.
So considering that, why did you choose intake?
I guess I chose intake. I like how I get to travel to a lot of different communities. Sometimes I'll do overnight trips there. And we just get to engage with the community. It's super fun. And
can you expand on that a little bit? How do you engage with the community?
Like we'll host Children's Day. Kahkenuh will host Children's Day for each community. So we'll go up and attend that, and we'll do like a lunch, we'll do a barbecue, prizes and things like games. It's all centered around children. We also do like Christmas concerts we've attended in Sachigo. We've done food drives, things like that. We've also just gone to watch broomball games in North Caribou, which was really fun. And there's jigging contests and stuff that we've all attended while we've been up overnight in community, and that's just super fun. And it's a good way to familiarize yourself with everyone and get to know all the other supports that are in the community that you don't know about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of fun in addition to some of the harder work.
It really is. I would say each community is different, but they all have their own strengths. They're all unique, and they all have something special about them.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, Hailey. I really appreciate you sitting down with me.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Hailey McFatridge from Kahkenuh's Intake and Investigation Team, shedding some light on how the different levels of intake all work together to embody our service model, Mamo Obiki Aweyuk, everyone working together to raise our children. Be sure to check out Kahkenuh Aweyuk on our YouTube channel and never miss an episode. Follow us on social media to stay current. This is Terry Kahkenuh, miigwech to everyone listening.
Thank you for listening to Kahkenuh Aweyuk, Everyone Together on TikTok Radio, hosted by Kahkenuh Child and Family Services. Miigwech.